Hey everybody, DM Jim here. Welcome to a new episode of the Tabletop Engineer. I've got a new project for you this week, something that you definitely can do, very low cost, that I think may make a lot of your lives easier. Now, I'm going to put a video up right here. This is a link to a previous project quite a while back. I've officially reached overload when it comes to miniatures. A long time ago, I decided I really wasn't going to do heavy miniatures in my game. I liked making little cardboard or cardstock minis because they were light, inexpensive. You didn't have to paint them, that kind of thing. But it doesn't matter. I have picked up a number of skirmish war games and Dungeons and Dragons miniatures over the last few years, and I'm quickly running out of places to store them. Now, if you look back through the previous videos, you'll see that I've made some like wall-mounted dioramas where you could put them in, but those will only hold so many. What I am in need of is a modular miniature display that I can increase as I need it, but that basically isn't just a bunch of rulers zip tied to the wall. So I don't have a lot of woodworking skill and experience. I'm okay in it. My dad's great at it. I'm pretty good with just cutting wood, gluing it, and that's about it. Not even so good with drilling and stuff like that. So one of the parameters that I sort of set myself was, obviously it needed to be something inexpensive because I don't want to make something that's going to cost a lot every time I want to add a level. I did reach out to a gentleman that a long time ago I had got him to make me a shadow box for something for my wife, and it was crazy expensive, and I wasn't willing to go there. So I knew that I was going to have to find something to do a DIY kind of shadow box that would not cost a lot of money, but that could be easily made by me, by you, by anyone who doesn't have a lot of woodworking experience. And so I have come up with something that so far, knock on wood, it's working. What you're going to need, I will tell you exactly in the video on the desktop what you need to get. You will need wood glue, this kind of stuff right here. Could you use regular glue? You could, but I have learned through years and years that there is something about wood glue. I don't even know the chemical makeup of wood glue, what makes it different than, say, white PVA glue. But when you're gluing wood together, this is what you want, wood glue. You can get a small bottle of it that will be more than enough, like about that size at the hardware store. This is Tight Bond, was that 1.25 ounce, and this was about $3. And this should be plenty, but I have wood glue because I do some things in the workshop out in the garage. But let's get to the tabletop and let me show you the parts you're going to need to go find and how we're going to put this thing together. Let's get to the tabletop. Okay, as mentioned, you're definitely going to want to go invest in a small bottle of wood glue. Don't get cheap wood glue. I learned that from my dad because I asked him about this project, and he said that there is a difference between cheap wood glue and what they would call premium or more expensive. So spend a little extra and just get yourself a nice little bottle of wood glue that you know is gonna work here. Now, what are you gonna do? All right, what I have here, and I don't even know if this can fit in all the frame. What I have here is a 3-foot long length of poplar, P-O-P-L-A-R. It's a type of wood. It's very thin. You can bend it. You can break it with your hands. You don't want to. This is 1/4 inch thick. It's a let's see, is it 1.5? I think it was 1.5. Yeah, 1.5 inch wide and 3-foot long piece. Now, I'm not going to make a shelf 3 feet long. I'm going to cut this in half. I'll just mark it, make a line, and then I'm going to use this is called a miter box. If you're not familiar with one of these, you can get one of these for between $5 and $10 at most hardware stores. It's plastic, okay? And it comes with lines. Here's 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 45 degrees. And then there are other ways you can use this that I'm not super familiar with, but supposedly it's a very versatile tool. I've had one of these laying around for a while now, mainly because sometimes you just don't want to turn on a table saw or a bandsaw or whatever. You just need to make a quick cut. So what you can do with this is, after I make my mark at the halfway, you just sort of put it in here. You put your saw in the blade down the lines, and you just cut. It's really simple. I will film this and show you how easy it is. You don't need one of these. You absolutely do not. If you make a line and you have a handsaw, small one, big one, whatever, poplar cuts very, very easy. It's soft, and you won't have any trouble. The only difference is your line may be a little wonky if you're not using a guide. But again, take your time, won't matter. But this is called a miter box, and very inexpensive. Something really good to have in your garage for when you want to cut things at angles. All right, so I have 7 of these pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each one of these was $1. There's $7. And these, I believe, were $1.35, and I've got 2 of those. So what's that? $2.50 plus 7 is $9.50. This is about $10 in wood and maybe $3 in wood glue. So figure you're going to spend about $12 to $15 minus the miter box, unless you want to get one of those. All right, so 2 of these pieces. These are also 3 feet long, quarter inch thick, and these are 2.5. I don't know if you can see that. 2.5 inches wide. Now, why did I get 2 of these and 7 of these? Well, let's cut these up and I will explain. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these 2.5 inch tall or wide pieces of poplar as my backer. So I'll have shelf, back, shelf, back, shelf, and so on. This is a 1.5 inch. Let's see, is it? Yeah, 1.5 inch gap. I don't have many miniatures that are taller than an inch and a half. If I do, maybe I'll put them on the top. I don't know. But this is what I'm going for right here. Now, the good news is this is poplar. So poplar glues up really, really well. You don't have to use nails. Somebody's probably going to say you should probably, use nails for this. This is a 1/4 inch. So trying to hammer a nail or use an air gun to put a nail through that, going to be pretty tricky. I am going to trust in my my wood glue, because I do know that wood glue is very strong when it dries. So it's basically a pattern here. You want to have a bottom, so I'm going to put glue along this edge right here. All right, use wood glue and just put yourself a good bead running along the edge there. Now with wood glue, you want to smear it with your fingers. You want good coverage, no gaps. All right, so just take it and just cover it with a good bit of your finger just to smear that glue in there. I'm going to go over it again probably on, let's see, we were doing it this way. Yep. So I'm going to put a bead along here. Now granted, you may not have to do this, but I'm doing it because I want a good bead of wood glue along there. All right, there we go. All right. And then you're going to need something to stand it up. Now, poplar, usually the way they cut it, it's usually pretty straight, no bending. But what you can do is if you have some 3-2-1 blocks, you can use them. But you know what? You can put some heavier items. Let's see, I've got some glue bottles here, or some paint bottles. And what else do I have that's heavy? Just find some heavy stuff. Do this for each of the layer and backing, or shelf and backing. So while this is drying, I can go ahead and do another one, because this one is going to be, glued like this, and then all I have to do is put some glue along this edge and the top edge, and put the two together when they're dry, if that makes sense to you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to glue up a bunch of these, and then I'm going to let these dry overnight and come back and put them together. Okay, so now I've got 4 of these backing and shelf. So now all I need to do is just glue these together. And I can tell you, this is pretty strong. I mean, I could probably break this if I really, really tried, but that wood glue is very strong. So I'm not at all worried that these are going to be fragile or anything like that. So the first thing I've already decided to do is, while I like this, I've got 4 shelves. I know I'm going to need more. So I'm going to go ahead and head to the hardware store before the weekend gets here and buy some more of the of these 2-inch or 2.5-inch wide, because when I was all said and done, I have a bunch of the thinner ones left over. I just didn't do the math properly. I should have bought one of these for every one of these, if that makes sense. I don't know what I was thinking when I was there. So, all right, so I'm going to get this glued up and make my very first shelf. Here's the finished product, and I say finished in quotes because this is just 4 shelves, and it only takes up a foot. You know, it's a foot tall. So basically, I could add another 4 shelves and just go up to make a 2-foot tall display. But this was a total of about, I think I said about less than $10. I haven't used all of the thinner pieces, but I went ahead and picked up 2 more of the 2.5-inch backing pieces there. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2 more shelves to it. I have a lot more minis than this, but this is a good sampling of what I'm trying to display. Now the tall ones, like the beholder and the troll and my statue there, they sort of extend beyond the size. I'll just always try to put them on the top shelf, and I'm not going to put there won't be a cap to it, because this will allow me to continue to glue the shelf and the backer board on and just add more as I go. I'll probably cap this at maybe 8 shelves, and then I'll start on a new one if I should need it. I mean, I have a lot of minis, but I don't have that many. So I'm thinking 4 more shelves should be sufficient for what I need for now. And I thought about painting this white, but to be quite honest, there's a couple reasons I'm not going to do that. One, I actually like the wood look. That doesn't really bother me. And 2, if I paint, I have to be careful not to paint the top edge up here, because that's where the wood glue is going to bind to the next level. Does that make sense? And it also means I would have to paint the next level that I'm gonna put on there separately before gluing it on, and that's just a pain to me. I mean, I could paint the whole thing again, but then you start getting paint buildup, and I just don't want to deal with that. So I'm going to stick with the wood, but obviously you could put like a finish over the wood, or you could prime it or paint it whatever color you want. I was originally going to paint it white just because I thought it would help the figures stand out more, but the natural wood is light enough that it gives you the good idea of what the figures are from a distance. So anyway, I hope you like it. Again, very inexpensive to do. Wood glue and the poplar wood pieces that you can get from the home hardware store. I got these from Home Depot. You may have to hunt for them, but just go ask if you can't find them. And remember, this is a 1/4 inch by 1.5 inch by, 3 feet long piece of poplar that I cut them in half. And then this is a 2.5 inch wide by 1/4 inch deep or thick by 3 foot long piece of poplar for the backing boards there. And get that, and you can start building your own shadow boxes. Very easy, very inexpensive, and you build it as you need them. Okay, that's all I have for you this week. I hope you can make your own display case for your miniatures using this method. I have looked for shadow boxes in the stores, and inevitably they are always, in my opinion, overpriced. Just an unfinished one that I saw at, I think it was maybe Michael's, or maybe it was Hobby Lobby, I can't recall. An unfinished one that wasn't as deep as these. I think it only was like a 3/4 inch deep. It was $18 or $20, and it wasn't that high. It just wasn't that big. It wouldn't hold that many minis. With this option, what I have is I have the ability to add shelves as I need them. I can go to the hardware store for just $3 or $4 at a time, glue a shelf together, glue it to the top, and I've got another shelf. And also, I'm looking at it here in front of me. It looks nice. I haven't decided how I'm going to hang it. That's why it's sitting on my desktop right now. I could put a hanger on the back, which I probably will end up doing just for weight purposes. I could use some real heavy-duty industrial tape to just tape it up, but I'm not going to do that. So I need to go get one or two hangers for it. And then as I add new levels, I'll just add a new hanger or take the old one off and put it on. So again, hope you like this idea. It's just one of those things that I've been thinking about for a while since I had these rulers, these yardsticks over here on this wall that I was zip tying to pegboard. And it worked, but it just didn't look great. And this is it's a much nicer display, and it's easy to make. So I would love to see your take on this. Maybe you're going to go with different dimensions or maybe different thicknesses. Whatever it is, I would love to see it. Post some pictures, if you don't mind, over at the Tabletop Engineer Facebook page if you decide to tackle this project. Please come join us over at the Tabletop Engineer. I do live events every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I also post random things, and we discuss gaming stuff on there, and it's just a fun place to hang out and post what you're working on and photos and stuff. It's a very friendly Facebook page. If you're not a subscriber to Bexham's Bazaar, my monthly gaming magazine, I highly encourage you to subscribe. It's only $2 a month. The issue comes out at the first of each month. And for $2, you get over 100 pages of content. And I have a lot of contributors that contribute, and they do good stuff. And I'm very proud of the magazine. If you want more information, I'll put some information below, as well as a link to download issue number 6, which is free. It's a good way to get an idea of what the magazine is about. So even if you don't subscribe, go grab issue 6 and see if you like it. And if you do want back issues, they are available for $3 an issue on drivethrurpg.com. That's all I got. This is DM Jim. I'll see you next week for a new project. Take care.